Hi, my name is Jack Wallen, and I am weird. I'm strange. There's just no denying it. And I have been strange all of my life. My fingernails are pink. My toenails are pink. I'm strange. I can't help it. It's just who I am. But why am I talking about my particular strange? Well, because I believe firmly, wholeheartedly, that every artist needs to not just accept they're strange, but embrace it. Why, though? Why would I be telling you, an artist, a fellow artist, a writer, an actor, a designer, a director, a dancer, a musician, whatever, why would I be telling you to embrace the strange? I'm going to make a statement here right now that I believe in, and I believed in for a very, very long time. And that statement is, normal is the enemy of art. That's right, I said it and I believe it. Let me ask you a question. Of all the artists you know in the world, personally, professionally, whatever, are any of them truly normal? What is truly normal? And can normal survive in the artistic world? I would say nay, nay. Because I truly believe this, that it takes a certain level of strangeness to be an artist. Think about it. We pour our hearts and souls into our work. Whether we're writing a book, acting in a play, filming a movie, writing a song, we put everything we have into that. And we spend inordinate amounts of time creating it. And to what end? We're certainly not making money hand over fist. Most often, artists do this because they either love to do it or they have to do it, or both. It is a calling. I knew when I was in, I believe, 4th grade. The teacher said, we're going to put on a play. We're going to do Jack and the Beanstalk. And guess who wound up playing Jack? Me. Why? Probably because my name, but I played it. And here's the thing. Here is what set me off on this path. I believe that this is exactly what it was. So we're performing this little play, and for whatever reason, I decided to go off script. I started improvising, threw everybody off. But eventually we got back on track and everybody laughed, and the teacher was like, okay, I see what you're doing. And I think that that's what set me off on this road toward artistry, toward the great town artistry. And I never stopped. I knew there was something different about me from a very early age. And I don't know if that came from my father, who was an absolutely wonderful, kind, gentle, funny human being, or if it was from my mother, who was an absolute crazy woman. My sister and I, we were inseparable as children. We were best friends. I loved her dearly. I still do. She and I, we held each other's hands through those early years. And I believe that we both became rather strange. And neither one of us looked at that as a bad thing. It was just who we were. It was partially what kept us alive. It saved us mentally from the life we had. And I remember as a child, whenever Halloween would come around, instead of being so excited about all the free candy, what really got me going was celebrating monsters. And I remember all of my fellow students were reading these fairly typical books that kids read. And there I was reading a book about universal monsters. I couldn't help it. And as I grew older, I didn't let go of that strangeness. In fact, when I was in high school, I used to intentionally do strange things to see if other people would pick up on them and do them as well. There was a period where I went to school with a stuffed animal in my backpack with its head sticking out. And I did that because I thought, how long would it take other people to start doing this? And lo and behold, people started doing it. But what does that have to do with art? You don't have to be strange to be an artist, do you? Well, I would say, again, that you would have to have a modicum of strangeness to be an artist. Because otherwise, why would you do this? Because it can be a maddening affair. On a daily basis, I am challenged with, how do I get people to read my books? I've spilled my blood onto these pages. I've cracked open my chest and let my heart bleed out into these documents. Worked on them for months, perfecting them and creating interesting stories and characters. And I can't let it go. They're always in my head. I'm always thinking about them. If I'm not thinking about them, I'm probably asleep. And in the end, you think, why? Why am I doing this? It's maddening. But I can't not do it. And you have to be a little strange, a little weird, a little odd, a little off-center to do this. When I decided to write the Violent Delights series, I knew that I wanted to write a romance thriller, not series. Of course, within the first chapter or two, I very quickly realized that it was going to be an erotic thriller. But even before I wrote that first line, I knew that my goal was to write something different. I had read enough in the genre to know what was common, what was traditional. And I said to myself, okay, let's not do that. Because there are other people doing that and doing it well. Let's not do traditional. So how do we do that? So I asked myself, what do I have? What do I have to offer this genre? And very quickly I said, well, I have a very unique perspective. I look at life very uniquely. I look at people in a different way. I approach everything I do a little bit off. Ask anybody I know, ask my loved ones, my friends, my family, they'll say, yeah, he's a little bit. So I said, okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to write this erotic thriller series in my own way. I'm going to let go of everything that society assumes to be the normal erotic thriller or romance thriller. I'm just going to throw that all away and just create something new. Forget the common, Forget the normal. Just let it be weird. Let it be whatever it needs to be. Through my filters, through my perspective, through my take on the world. And usually that's all it requires, is me to just go, okay, I'm going to look into this story with these two eyes and let them define the world. It's the same thing with my acting. Here's an interesting example. Back a few years ago, when I did the MC in Cabaret, I knew that the audiences were going to come to the show either expecting or hoping to see something similar to what Alan Cumming or Joel Grey did, because those were the definitive takes on the role. And I said, I can't do that. I am not one to steal from other artists. I don't do that. But how do I approach this character in such a way that it not only honors those other performers as well as the role as it is on paper, but make it wholly unique to me? What do? I allow the strange to open up and tell me what to do. Before the audition, I worked for months on I Don't Care Much. Months. I can't even begin to tell you how many times I sang that song before the auditions, thinking that maybe they would ask me to sing that song. And I love that song. As I'm working through this song, I feel like something is happening with this character, but I can't quite put my finger on it. I know that the seeds have been planted, but what they were, I couldn't figure out. Until one day, I sang a particular passage, and I approached it with, I had been listening to a group called Scala and Kalakni, and they were a children's choir, and they sang a lot of popular songs, and it was wonderful. And I remember listening to Boys Don't Cry by The Cure, as sung by this children's choir. And I sang along to it in falsetto. And because I knew that I needed to strengthen my falsetto for certain passages in a couple of the numbers. As I was singing it, I started to get in touch with something. And I just opened my mind up to it to see what it would be. And what came out of it was that I discovered that my take on the MC existed somewhere between masculine and feminine, between the male and the female. That character was neither male or female, it was something other. And I thought, okay, let's accept that. Let's embrace that. Let's embrace that bit of strange and see what happens. And the second I did that, it came to life. I took that into the audition, and they didn't have me sing I Don't Care Much. Instead, they had all of the people auditioning for that role do Willkommen as a monologue. And all of those people, there are sections in Willkommen where the character is supposed to improvise. And every one of those actors auditioning for that role did Alan Cumming's improvisations. And I said, no, I'm going to do mine. I'm going to improvise something, whatever it is, and let's just see what happens. So I started the audition, and I got to the improvisation section, and something happened. I guess all of that work I had done on the character and that idea of him being trapped between the masculine and the feminine brought it all to life. And afterwards, the choreographer who was sitting in on the audition came to me and said, as soon as you did that, I leaned over to the director and I said, that's our MC. He is the perfect middle ground of masculine and feminine, and that's exactly what we want for this. And I got cast, and I was shocked because I'm 5'4", and usually they cast tall, skinny people for that role and younger. And then there's me. But it worked. And to this date, it was one of my favorite. It's the role that I am most proud of. And I wouldn't have been able to do it had I not just accepted and embraced my strange. I could have done it as a normal person would, but I said, nay, nay. Let us just celebrate the oddness that's inside of me and let that dictate what this character is going to be. And I do the same thing every time I start writing a new book. I just say, okay, weirdness, let's play. Let's make something happen. Let's make art. And I can't tap in to that artist inside of me unless I open up those doors to the strangeness. I need my weirdness. I honor my weirdness every day. And even though I go out into public and the people out there, and they see my pink nails or whatever it is I'm wearing on that day, and they look at me and they're like, oh, I don't know. And I just embrace it. I just hold my head up and say, you know what? This is me. This is who I am. You can accept it or not. Doesn't matter whether you do or not, because I'm me, and I'm proud of me, and I'm going to be me. Because all of this me comes together to make the artist that I am. And if I were to shun a single part of me, especially the strange part of me, I would not be able to function as an artist. I would not be able to do what I do. I would not be able to look at life in the weird way I do and say, okay, let's turn everything at an angle and see what comes out there. What happens when you just look at life at a different angle? What happens if it's all upside down or inside out or whatever? And sometimes those weird little things are how I create what I create. Instead of just saying, okay, let's create plot and do this and blah, 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 blah. I say, okay, here's my plot. Let's fold it in, twist it out, make it black and white, do whatever strange little things I have to do to make it wholly unique. I had to do that when I wrote the Reaper series. When I first came up with that idea, I stepped back a little bit and I thought, okay, something's off on this. I don't know what it is, but I have to set it aside and think about it. When I came back to it, I realized the plot that I had written or devised was Death Takes a Holiday. Well, I couldn't write that book because Death Takes a Holiday was already done, and I couldn't improve on that. So I had to take the plot that I created. And I just said, okay, what do we do with this? Because the kernel of the idea is too good to let go of. So I said, well, let's just approach it the way I would approach anything else and strip away everything that was Death Takes a Holiday and leave just the kernel of what I had. And then go, okay, how do I make this me? And I said, okay, what if the Grim Reaper not only falls in love with somebody, but accidentally reaps them at the same time? And that was the basis of A Tale of Two Reapers. And I've done that so many times. When I wrote Frankenstein Theory, I said, okay, I'm going to honor Mary Shelley's story, keep it in the same period, but how do I make it unique? I said, well, just be you. Just be open to the strangeness. Let it happen. Let it flow out of you, and whatever comes out will be unique. Normal is the enemy of art. I need a t-shirt that says that. That will probably be on my tombstone when I die. Normal is the enemy of art. Be strange, people. Be strange. Be weird. Be odd. Be left of center, right of center. Not politics. Just be okay with accepting what it is that makes you you. Because let's face it, if everybody out there in the big world were the same, life would be really boring. There are only 7 plots. And if we all just rewrote the same plots over and over and over again without dusting it with our strangeness, nobody would want to read them. Nobody would want to watch those movies that are all the same. Nobody would want to go to those plays or listen to that music because they would think, well, I've already seen this before, just done by somebody else, and it's pretty much the same. Imagine a world without people like Tim Burton to take reality, flip it on its head, and make it unique. That is what we do as artists. And that is why we all must embrace our strange. Come on. Come on. Bring it in. Love every little bit that's strange in you, my lovely people. And that is all I have to say today. It feels like forever since I've recorded a video, but it was actually just last week. I would do these every day if I had the time, but, you know, I got other things to do, like write books and have a marriage and take care of my cats and all that. Anyway, thank you so very much for giving me a little bit of your time. I know it's precious, and I know that we're all super busy, but that you being here with me for a moment means the world to me. Now, I want you to do me a favor. The world out there is crazy and only getting worse. So I want you to make sure that some point today or tomorrow or sometime that you do something kind to somebody else or for somebody else. Make it anonymous, whatever, I don't care. Just spread a little kindness because we all are desperate for it right now. And at the same time, I hope that you and everyone you love have a wonderful, wonderful day.